Rise of ISIS is a new book by attorney Jay Sekulow and other members of the American Center for Law and Justice, who believe that if ISIS is left unchecked, they could unleash genocide of historic proportions. I joined other Christians in an online forum to ask co-author David French why ISIS is a threat we can't ignore.
ISIS is in fact the same enemy that we fought in Iraq. I mean, this is Al-Qaeda in Iraq that's gone through a few name changes. And a lot of people don't understand that. They hear ISIS, they see it stampeding across Iraq. They thought it was something entirely new, a new jihadist organization. No, it's the same enemy that we fought before.
We fought them before, but we didn't defeat them. The authors criticized the president's, quote, half measures and believe we can only destroy ISIS with boots on the ground and aggressive bombings. But this is a conflict for Christians, believing innocents should never be harmed.
So it's an incredibly difficult challenge that the enemy puts us in because of its intentional strategy to hide behind civilians. And as a Christian, I agree completely that our goal is to protect the innocent. But part of protecting the innocent means defeating the enemy and defeating their very tactic that they use to kill the innocent. And you have to be able to defeat ISIS, not to just sit there and watch what ISIS does to hundreds of thousands and then feel good about ourselves because, well, you know, our rules were so strict that they prevented us from any collateral damage as they slaughtered 200,000 people. That to me is a moral obscenity as you look at what's happening on the ground.
The book also focuses on ISIS' self-declared Islamic identity, which made me ask, why is ISIS' Islamic identity so critical to its appeal in the Muslim world?
For combating these jihadist movements over the long term, that's a question that we've just got to explore. Now, let me begin by saying I'm not a Muslim. I do not purport or pretend to be a Muslim theologian of the Islamic religion. I believe where I'm coming from is Islam is for Muslims to define. But let me begin with that. What I think is just a truth. It's just a fact. It is just a fact that the message that ISIS has and the message that Hamas has is empowering to a certain segment of the Muslim world because it connects with a couple of strains of thinking that have long existed in the Islamic world. One of them is the belief in jihad as a literal means of military victory to spread Islam. There are Muslims who believe that jihad as a military movement is a method of spreading Islam, a valid method of spreading Islam. Then you connect with, especially with a lot of young men, there is this notion of aimlessness and purposelessness. It's something that afflicts young men all the world over. What does ISIS give a certain segment of young Muslim men? White, hot, flaming sense of purpose. Mm-hmm. Absolute purpose around a religious identity is a very powerful sociological and religious force. It just is. We have to have Muslim opposition to these guys. That the answer here ultimately, although the United States is very capable of coming in and defeating an individual jihadist organization, we can do that. Mm-hmm. To deal with the larger movement is going to require a Muslim response.
David French acknowledges that this war will be a long one, something he believes Americans have to accept and understand, and hold its political leaders, including the president, responsible for its outcome. Reporting for Currents, I'm Michelle Powers.